Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics. A few weeks ago, we did a video that was a top 10 common fish that were actually difficult to keep. And in that video, we got some comments. Okay, now that you've told us the top 10 that are difficult to keep, can you give us a top 10 common fish that are going to be the hardiest fish? And so that's what we're doing in this video. And just like a few weeks ago, we've got 4 different categories. One of them is going to be water parameter range. And so these fish, how wide is their water parameter range? How well do they travel, especially if you're thinking about buying these fish online? And so that's travel stress. We're also going to be looking at their genetics. Generally speaking, do they have good genetics? And then the fourth thing is disease. Are they prone to disease? We're going to give them a points rating from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And so the maximum number of points that these fish can score is 40 points. Now, I'll ruin the surprise for you. No fish is going to get quite to 40 points, but we're going to have a lot of really good options for you. One thing to keep in mind, check out the description below. We'll have some species profiles for you there because not all of these fish are going to be community fish. They're just common fish. Hope you enjoy the video. Appreciate you being here. Coming in at number 10 on the list, that is the Galaxy Rasbora. Love these guys. Travel stress is a 6, water parameter range is an 8, disease 7, genetics 7 for a total of 28. Now this is a great fish, and I think out of the Rasboras that we've kept in our fish room, and we've kept many different types of Rasboras, also known as the Celestial Pearl Daniel, by the way, these fish are quite hardy. They generally come in very strong. They live a decently long time for a fish their size, show great color, and if you get them in a nice large group, they're going to be great. Now the one thing that I did ding them for, and that's the travel stress. Sometimes smaller Rasboras don't travel well, although I found that these do particularly well, at least in terms of their size and being a smaller fish. But you really can't go wrong with the Galaxy Rasbora. And the nice thing is they stay in smaller groups, or stay in smaller tanks, I should say, because they're a little bitty fish, gonna max out at around an inch or so. By the way, before I forget, if you're looking for more information about these fish or pretty much any of the other ones that we feature in this video, check out the description below because we've got full species profiles for you there. Number 9, that is the Mbuna. This is a big group of fish. It's not any one particular fish. I give them travel stress of 8, water parameter range of 6, disease and genetics both the 7, also for a 28, but I put these ahead of the Galaxy Rasbora because if they do get sick at all, they're really easy to treat. Usually they can withstand high salt concentrations, do pretty well with all kinds of different types of medications. And as you can see here, the colors are outstanding. Now again, you're really going to want to do your homework with some of the fish that we feature in this video. These are common fish. When you go to the big box stores, you see them all the time. But they're not necessarily compatible with other fish featured in this video or other fish in general. Mbuna cichlids are African cichlids. They can be a little bit on the aggressive side. They like to be in an Mbuna community just like you see here for the most part. So it's not a community fish, but still, this is a common fish that is generally going to be fairly easy to keep, and they are going to be rather resilient and live a long time. Coming in at number 8, and that is this guy here, the full-size Gourami. This happens to be an opaline Gourami, but I would include the blues and the golds and even the pearl Gouramis. I give them a travel stress of 7, water parameters 8, disease and genetics a 7 for a total of 29. Every time we keep full-size Gouramis in our fish room, they live many years. Now, this is not a fish where you want to keep necessarily multiples in a single tank unless it's the pearl Gourami, then it's okay. But this is a great fish that just tends to live a very long time. The genetic abnormalities are usually kept to a minimum, and they're relatively hardy. They will accept a wide range of water parameters, which is nice, and they're not overly prone to disease. Now, I did feature the dwarf Gourami as one of the fish that might be a little bit more difficult to keep. So again, we want to be really careful here. When I say Gourami, I really mean primarily the opalines like you see here. The blue Gourami and the gold, they all have the same basic shape, the same basic size. They can be a little bit on the aggressive side. Now here you've got the pearl Gourami. This is a far less aggressive Gourami, still a full-size Gourami, but as you can see here, you can keep them in larger groups, and that is one advantage compared to the other 3 that I mentioned. But these fish are generally very hardy. Coming in at number 7 are these jewel cichlids. These are outstanding fish with an absolutely outstanding amount of color. Now, they get a 7 for travel stress, 8 for water parameter range, and an 8 for disease, 7 for genetics. That gives them a total of 30. These are great fish, and every time we've had them in our fish room, they are very hardy and they live a very, very long time. They're not overly prone to disease. They generally travel pretty well. In water parameters, anywhere from around a pH of 7. We kept ours at a pH of 8. With water hardness, GH and KH up around 10 degrees. They can go lower than that. And these are just outstanding fish. Now again, you've got to be mindful of your tank mates with these fish. That's why we have the species profiles down in the description below, because some of these fish, like the jewel cichlids, can be a little bit more aggressive and are best kept in a semi-aggressive community tank. But these are great fish if you're looking for something that is going to be mostly problem-free. Coming in at number 6, the black neon. I absolutely love this Tetra. It is the hardiest Tetra that I have ever kept. I give it a 6 for travel stress, an 8 for water parameters, 8 for disease and genetics, for a total of 30. This fish probably would rank higher on the list, except if you're going to be having them shipped in. The travel stress thing brings them down a little bit, but a 6 is still a pretty solid number. But these fish are outstanding. Every single time we've had these in the fish room, they are just a long-term mainstay, especially for something so small. It's not uncommon to get 4 or 5 years or more when keeping your black neons. And the one thing I absolutely love about them is, unlike a lot of the other types of neons or even the cardinal tetras, which really do like that softer water with the lower pH, we've kept these guys at all kinds of different pHs and water hardness, and they do really well in just about everything from softer water with closer to neutral pH. We keep them at a pH of around 8 to 8.2, GH and KH at around 10, and they still do really well and live a really long time. They're basically one of those problem-free fish. They stay small, and it's nice to keep them in groups, as you can see here, and it's just a really easy fish to care for, really easy fish to feed. And if you haven't tried them, I highly recommend give them a try. Now we're going to be venturing into the top 5 hardiest common fish, but before we do, just a reminder, if you are looking for these fish, check out Flip Aquatics at flipaquatics.com. I will have their information in the description below. They're a channel sponsor that sells high quality fish, and so if you're looking for something on this list, can't find them locally, definitely give them a try. Flipaquatics.com. Again, their information is down in the description below. All right, now we're getting to the second half of our list, the top 5 hardiest common fish. I think we've got to go with the tiger barbs. This is a very common fish, and again, not necessarily for everyone, but travel stress an 8, water parameter range a 9, disease and genetics a 7, for a total of 31. This is a common fish for a reason. Not only do they show great color, but they've got awesome personality as well. Now, it is true that can be a little bit on the more aggressive side, certainly can fin nip longer fin fish, and you do want to keep them in a large group. But these fish generally are very, very hardy. They accept a wide range of water parameters. Generally, they're going to be pretty healthy. If there's one minor knock on them, sometimes with the breeding situation going on, the genetics can be hit or miss on some of them. But for the most part, this is a really solid fish to think about adding to your semi-aggressive community aquarium. But the tiger barbs, generally speaking, when we've brought them in, as long as you have a large group and have a large enough tank to support that group, they live a long, happy, healthy life. Number 4 on the list, it's got to be these guys, the black skirt tetra or the white skirt tetra as well. Every time we've had these in the fish room, they live a very long time. I give them an 8 for travel stress, water parameter range an 8, disease a 7, genetics an 8, for a total of 31. If you are looking for a fish that is going to love to be in groups and give you a lot of long-term enjoyability, that is the black skirt tetra. Every time we've had them, like I said, we'll get easily 4 or 5, maybe 6 years out of both the black skirt and the white skirt tetras. Again, they can be a little bit fin nippy, so we want to be mindful of the types of fish we keep with the black skirt tetra. But this is a fish that is extremely hardy, accepts a wide range of water parameters, certainly from the upper 6s into the low 8s. Like I said, we keep them at a pH of 8. Water hardness from soft water to moderately hard water is not going to be a problem. Now, all of the fish that we've mentioned so far, temperature range for the most part, typical tropical fish water temperatures, and that's going to be somewhere around 74 to 75 up to around 80 degrees or so. Pretty much all the fish that we've mentioned do well in those water parameters. All right, it's time for the top 3 now, and coming in at number 3 for us is a fish that is common, but I think it's too often overlooked, and that is the Kribensis. They come in a variety of types. Here you're looking at albino. We've got the standards we're going to show you. 8 for travel stress, 8 for water parameter range, 8 for disease, 7 for genetics, for a total of 31. This is a great small cichlid that can fit into a community aquarium. You see it here. We've got some black neons. We've got a dwarf Gourami in here. These fish generally just leave other fish alone, even when breeding. This is a breeding pair that you see here. They're going to protect their little area, but for the most part, they leave, like I said, they leave the other fish alone, show great color. And again, when it comes to water parameters, they're going to accept a wide range of water parameters. They, generally speaking, are very healthy fish that are going to give you years of enjoyment. So if you're looking for a cichlid that's got some personality, that's not overly aggressive, you want a centerpiece fish for that aquarium, both the males and the females look fantastic, as you can see throughout this video, and they're absolutely wonderful. This is a 20-gallon long that we had set up for them, and they really enjoyed it, and we still have 2 breeding pairs in our fish room. Coming in at number 2 are these guys here, the brilliant green Rasbora, otherwise known as the brilliant Rasbora or the green Rasbora. This is a great fish. I give it an 8 for travel stress, 8 for water parameter range, for disease and genetics, also 8s for a 32 overall. This is a fish that we constantly have in the fish room, and they live an extremely long time. I would say by far this is the hardiest of the Rasbora types, and they are magnificent looking fish. The colors are outstanding, great personality. They tend to school fairly tightly together, and they're just a wonderful, peaceful fish that live a really long time. Again, this is a fish that accepts a wide range of water parameters and just seems to do well in almost all the water parameters that we've given them. In our fish room right now, we've got around, again, pH of around 8. And they do well there, but they can certainly go lower than that, certainly go lower in the GH and KH than we keep them at 10. But this is a great fish, and it's very common, but I think it's often overlooked, and it really shouldn't be, because this could be a nice schooling fish for a lot of different community aquariums. All right, are you ready to see the number 1 hardiest fish? This is one that you would absolutely, if you want a fish that is going to live a long and healthy, happy life and is going to be very easy to keep, you really can't go wrong with these guys. Behold the white cloud mountain minnow. Yeah, these fish have been a mainstay in the aquarium hobby for a very, very long time, and they are extremely hardy. I give them a 10 for travel stress and water parameters, and 8 for disease and genetics, for a total of 36. In my opinion, this is one of the hardiest fish that you can keep. Why? Because they can go down into the 60s for their temperatures. We keep them at 78. They live a long, healthy, happy life there. They breed like crazy in those water parameters. They're not particularly picky when it comes to the GH and KH and their pH. Now, the one thing you want to keep in mind is you want your water parameters to be stable. But these are outstanding fish every time we have them in the fish room. Like I said, they live a long time. We've got them in a number of different tanks. They are peaceful. They tend to stick together fairly well. You've got a long fin variety, you got the short fin variety, you got the standards like you see here, the gold white clouds as well. All of these are really, really great fish, and certainly something to consider, especially if you're looking for a fish where you keep your water parameters stable, make sure there's no ammonia, no nitrite, nitrates less than 20 parts per million. And these fish are going to give you a lot of enjoyment with a lot of really nice color too. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. What are some of the hardiest fish you have ever kept, the ones that just lived forever and ever and brought you great enjoyment? Leave that in the comments section below. Again, if you want more information about the fish featured in this video, check out the description. I also have a couple species profiles in the upper right and lower right hand corner. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.